Hello, all, and welcome to Shakira's Corner, where we discuss pertinent agenda items from the Board of Commissioners meetings with Commissioner Chakira Johnson, as well as share community updates from DeKalb County District 4. In addition to serving on the BOC, Commissioner Johnson is also a member of three county committees, the FAB Committee, ERPS Committee, and PWI Committee. Well, it's been a heck of a start to the year, and the months of February and March have been no different. At times, they have felt unrelenting. So, we've got a bit of ground to cover in today's episode. Commissioner Johnson, I understand you recently attended the CEO's retreat where each district identified their main areas of focus. Can you tell us more about this retreat and your focus areas for District 4?
Yes, and you're absolutely right. February and March felt like at least 6 months. So
Yeah.
we've been busy with the BOC here in DeKalb County and a lot of work happening. But we did have a joint CEO BOC retreat at the end of March, where each district commissioner was able to present their goals for 2025, so that we each would be aware of what our goals are, as well as what the CEO. So she would be aware of what our goals are. The plan is for her to now present probably at one of our next COW meetings. She's going to take everything that we compiled as a goal within our district and combine them with her own and present kind of the goals for the county and for 2025 at one of the next committee of the whole or COW meetings. So for District 4, we were able to come up with a goal, which you see on your screen, which is to enhance collaboration among the CEO and the Board of Commissioners, departments, and stakeholders to support a unified strategy for economic development, business growth, and community engagement in DeKalb County. This partnership aims to improve communication, optimize resources, and focus on housing, employment, recreation, education, and sustainability. Say that 5 times fast. And ultimately improving residents' quality of life. And so, as many of you know, when I was on the campaign trail, my slogan was engineering progress for DeKalb, and that is something that we're still working through and working with here in District 4. So as we engineer progress for DeKalb, and progress for District 4, you have to look at all these aspects and combine them together to engineer that progress for DeKalb County. So that is our District 4 goal in a nutshell. And as we are focusing on this goal, we have our main focus areas, which include infrastructure, homelessness, youth development, Memorial Drive revitalization, and New Americans. And so we were able to do a presentation, and what you see in this picture of me, the CEO also hired an artist to kind of capture our notes and provide us with this artwork and notes from each presentation that we were able to bring back home with us. And you'll see them. I think we're planning on having this at our Community Connections breakfast, which the first one is April 12th at 9 a.m. Hope everybody is able to attend that, and you'll be able to see more about the presentation and more about, you'll be able to see that actual artwork and poster board that we were presented with at that time. So our focus areas, for one, is infrastructure. So again, being the civil engineer on the BOC, infrastructure has to always be top of mind for me. And one of the ways that we continue to look at and focus on infrastructure, even though, as we know, we have already passed the water rate increase, but there's still much more work to do and many aspects of focusing on infrastructure. For instance, 2 agenda items that we passed that are a focus of infrastructure include the sanitary sewer chemical root control. This is a 3-year contract worth almost $20 million. Sounds like something simple and a lot of money, but it ensures that when the sanitary sewer lines can get intruded by roots from trees and shrubs that are growing too close to it and growing into the pipe, they're to target these areas that are getting clogged and could cause sanitary sewer overflows. Once they recognize where these areas are, they can go in with this chemical root control, this herbicide that will focus and kill the root within the pipe, and will not cause detriment as the chemical makes its way to the water treatment plant. It will not cause uh, detriment and chemicals into the drinking water system as it goes to the treatment plant. So that's one agenda item that we passed. That was another way to focus on infrastructure. And then a second one is the renewal of professional inspection services for public works. And this is for our MS4 is the acronym, but it's Municipal Separate Storm Sewer Systems, which is a federal program where every county or municipality, every jurisdiction that has the responsibility and maintenance of storm sewer systems must have an inventory of their systems. They must inspect them and maintain them and provide annual reporting on the condition of these storm sewer systems every year. And so this is a renewal contract for us to do that. And the amount was about $2.5 million. And the contract was awarded to Atlas LLC, International Design Services, doing business as IDS, and Terminus Land Surveying and Services. So 3 entities were awarded, and together they will make sure that the county is on top of our MS4 reporting, which includes knowing where our system is, knowing the condition of our systems, and alerting if any maintenance is needed on these systems. So again, just another way that our everyday work at the BOC can focus on infrastructure. And one of the goals I personally have is to make sure that I'm bringing these items to the attention, to the forefront, so people really understand what we're voting on and why they are important. Another focus area is homelessness. Homelessness is prevalent in DeKalb County as well as all of Metro Atlanta, and we're seeing a big increase in District 4, especially along Memorial Drive corridor. So I presented on homelessness and how we need to take a holistic approach to homelessness. We need to look at prevention, providing financial assistance, providing different types of housing. So you have a mix of housing, affordable housing, workforce housing. But we also need to look at DeKalb County having and managing its own shelter. There are a few counties in the metro area and city of Atlanta that are managing their own shelters. And I personally feel like for us to really own this issue and make real progress in addressing the issue of homelessness in our community, having a county managed shelter is key, but also understanding that that is not an easy task, and it's something that's going to take us a while to get to. We have to find the funding, find the resources, find a location. So it's a hard lift, and I get that. And in the meantime, we definitely need to continue supporting our local charities and partners who are providing some shelter services for DeKalb County, but being able to provide our own is critical. For instance, we had a situation a few weeks ago where a youth, a senior in high school, was having a hard time at home and had been put out of the house by his mother. And we were scrambling trying to find a place for him to go. And there is no place within DeKalb County that he could go. We had to get him all the way to City of Atlanta, and then also find a way for him to come have transportation back and forth to school. And it makes it a lot more difficult when you're having to uproot a young child from their home, at least their home area. And the closest we could find shelter or situation to help him was all the way in City of Atlanta. So that's just one specific example that happened again not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, of why it's important for us in DeKalb County to be able to provide these services here in DeKalb County.
Yeah, that's a difficult situation.
It was, and it was really eye-opening. It's one of the first ones I personally was involved in since being on the commission. And, I know we don't have the services here managed, especially not managed by DeKalb County, but to know there was no place to send a youth, a minor in the county, we had to find a bed or a location for them all the way in the city of Atlanta, which for me or you may not seem that far, but when you're already going through a hard situation at home and having to get uprooted like that, it can be a lot for anybody to deal with, but especially a minor to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough to deal with. School's tough enough to deal with as it is, but then if you don't have just the basics correct, if you're worried about where you're going to be sleeping, where your next meal is going to be coming from, it makes it impossible to focus or really even care about what's going on at school. So
Right.
these programs are definitely critical.
They're very critical. And back also on the homelessness before we move on to youth development, another item that I'm going to be championing this year is funding for our community development department out of the general fund. So our community development folks, they're amazing. They're the ones who helped us find a place for this young man to go, but all of their funding comes from the federal government, it comes from HUD, it comes from CDBG. They're not a line item in the general fund, and if we are funding them with the DeKalb County dollars out of the general fund, it loosens some of the regulations that the federal dollars may have, and it would allow them to do more case management and wraparound services, whereas some of the federal funding has a lot of restrictions that would not allow for these items to occur. In addition, with what's happening on the federal level, we're not certain how federal funding is landing and how it might come out with the wash this year, with leadership in Washington. So the more we can ensure that we're funding that with the DeKalb County taxpayers' dollars, um, because it is a critical item, I think that is really important. And that is one item that I will be championing this year. And well, championing until we get it done. How about that?
I believe in you.
Well, again, if we want to really take care of our people, we got to put our money where our mouth is. So
Right, right. So with a lot of programs, there's generally a combination of funding sources. You had mentioned that there are some programs that have certain requirements that would prohibit you to successfully operate the program versus, another funding source that would allow that, but maybe might not provide the amount of capital necessary to pull off a program. Are you ever able to combine funding sources when they conflict, when those rules conflict like that?
a lot of times, I don't think you would be able to combine unless, for instance, it's my understanding with the federal dollars, a lot of that money can go towards helping find like a short-term housing situation or rental assistance, but it cannot be used for case management, for follow through, make sure they're receiving additional services. So we could look at can you combine the two by allowing the federal dollars to do what the federal dollars are supposed to do, but then you come in with on the back end with the case management being funded by local dollars. That is a conversation we can have with Community Development Director Alan Mitchell to see if that would be the best way to kind of work the two together to have the most impact in helping our citizens who are in need of help.
Good to know. Good to know. Well, that all seems to tie into some additional programs that you're focused on involving youth development. What can you tell us about your goals and your ideas there?
Yes, our youth development, we have to make sure that we're taking care of our youth, who, of course, are our future. And we have a lot of great programs already here in DeKalb County. But I will say, a lot of them was not aware of until I was running for office. And I have a feeling that's true for a lot of residents here in DeKalb County. So putting a spotlight on our youth development programs like Work Source DeKalb, our Rise Up, our Youth Commission, Girls Clubhouse, the Share Youth Summer Programming. I will be allocating $10,000 out of my district funding to the Share Summer Program I think this is her 5th year having that. So there's just a lot of great things that we already do for the youth in DeKalb County, but I want to be able to use my voice to make sure people are aware of what these programs are. But then there's also private partners within DeKalb County that, like 100 Black Men of DeKalb County, they have a youth leadership program that could pair very well with some of our existing programs, and making sure that we're getting the most bang for our buck, so to speak, and uplifting as many youth as possible. So partnering DeKalb County programs with the private nonprofits that are already out there doing amazing work. It's just a great way for us to make sure that we're impacting as many youth as possible. For another example, Collinwald provides a lot of youth programming, and they're even willing, in some instances, I think in District 3, and we're talking to them to expand this in District 4, where they have after school programs at the actual schools. And that is funding that they've been able to obtain on their own, and that they provide those services. So we're looking to expand that in District 4 as well.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm excited to see what happens with those.
Yes, 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 yes. We have so many great things in DeKalb County, but until people know about it, we
Right.
haven't completely met our goals. So
Yeah. And it takes a village. It takes a whole village to raise our youth and have that impact on, whether they develop in a healthy way or in a way that isn't going to serve them well in their life. So these programs are crucial for helping bolster those efforts and making sure that they get the guidance and support that they need.
And I think most of us can think of at least one person in our lives as when we were younger, that even if they weren't an official mentor, but had a positive impact on us. And so I think we can all look back and know what a difference that made for ourselves. And so it's important that we make sure that our youth have that same type of impact in their lives as well.
Exactly right. Because not everybody is blessed with the parental lottery. So having that supplemental help really goes a long way.
Exactly. And like you said, it takes a village, because yeah, you're right. Not everyone has those um Cleaver type parents at home, Leave It to Beaver Cleaver type parents at home, but with the village behind them, they can still have amazing futures ahead of them. So
Exactly. Exactly. Most parents want to do their best, but think
and sometimes they're just working so many jobs trying to make sure they keep a roof over their head and food on the table, that they can't always get to the things that they want to get to because they just don't have the time. So let's step in and help them.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
So I understand another one of your focus areas is, of course, restoring or helping to revitalize the Memorial Drive or East Corridor. What is on your agenda for that area?
So my predecessor, Commissioner Steve Bradshaw, started this work a few years ago when he commissioned the first study and community input on the revitalization of Memorial Drive. And so it's now my mission to make sure that we continue to implement what came out of that study, including gateway signage. We received recently, after funding that Commissioner Bradshaw applied for, but has come in recently, is a $1.5 million congressional funding from Congressman Hank Johnson. I mentioned the installation of markers and monuments. These locations have already been approved by GDOT, so we're working towards getting those installed. Another big item that is underway is we're partnering with the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce, and they are helping facilitate the development of a community improvement district. And I think we may have touched on this before in another podcast, but a community improvement district, the businesses in the district area tax themselves, and the money that they are taxing to themselves gets poured back into the district for improvements, whether it be beautification, enhanced security measures. You'll see some CIDs, as they're called, within the metro area, where they might contract with security companies to add extra patrols. And like there's one along the Tucker CID on Mount Industrial. They beautified the entrances off of 78. So it's just a good tool to have for Memorial Drive. I'm interested to see how that will play out, and hopefully we'll be able to get that off the ground in 2025.
Absolutely. Memorial Drive is a great place you have so much exposure there on that strip to be seen. So really, ideally, it could be great for aspiring business owners or even established business owners. And then I did see we've got the little M there that had been run through a few different testing phases, and that ultimately is what was elected by the community. And so at some point, you will start seeing signs with that M showing up along Memorial Drive. So those are exciting developments.
There is another very exciting development that we approved just the other week on the BOC, DeKalb County. So let me go back a step. At the retreat, I made a call to action for DeKalb County to buy in and participate in the revitalization of Memorial Drive, because Memorial Drive, in my opinion, is the heartbeat of DeKalb County. It is the heartline of the county, since it is in central DeKalb. CEO Carrie Johnson, in a previous presentation, had called Memorial Drive the Mason-Dixon line of the county. So it is critical corridor for DeKalb County. And if the Memorial Drive corridor is healthy, in my opinion, all of DeKalb is healthier for that. So I have made a call to action at the retreat for DeKalb County government in general to buy into the revitalization of Memorial Drive, and that be bigger than just a District 4 issue. And I'm excited to announce, I think I can announce it because we made action outside of executive session, that DeKalb County has won the bid to purchase the parcel of land where the tax commissioner's office is, which is, I believe, an $18 million purchase. So $18 million investment on Memorial Drive. I'm not certain many people knew that we had been leasing that property for many, many years, I think 25 years.
Goodness.
We've not owned that property. So we're in the process, we're in due diligence of owning it now.
Well, that's excellent.
That is a huge, huge improvement in revitalizing Memorial Drive and having control over what gets redeveloped in that area. So I'm very excited to do that.
Are they going to add anything over on that property, or is it just going to stay the tax assessor? Is that yet to be seen?
Yet to be seen. I think there is interest in doing some type of redevelopment in the future, but also that is a key location for services like the tax commissioner's office, easy access for the public to get there and do the business that they need to do. So that my vision would be some type of redevelopment that would include office space for the tax commissioner's office, but yet to be seen.
Excellent. Well, those are all exciting updates. You are not kidding.
Yes.
Well, I know that District 4 has also been recognized as having one of the most culturally diverse populations in the country. And part of your focus areas also include new Americans and helping to get them acclimated to life here in America once they immigrate. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So I think we're all aware that District 4 includes Clarkston, which is one of the most diverse square miles in the country because of the refugee resettlement program. A lot of the refugees from across the world come and resettle in Clarkson, but greatly from Africa and the Middle East. Um, they make up about, well, DeKalb County has seen about a 15% increase in foreign-born residents in the last decade, and a lot of those are from these refugee resettlement programs. And these new Americans they're an amazing community to be a part of, and I've been honored to get to know them over the last year or so, and just grateful to see everything that they can and do contribute to our community. I just think it's really important for us to embrace our diversity and making sure that we're doing what we can to make sure that they are feeling like they are a part of DeKalb County. As we like to say, we are one DeKalb, and that includes our new American citizens as well. And one of the things I would like to see done and work on is some type of business incubator for our new Americans. An example of that would be I had the opportunity to meet with one of the Somali leaders, and she had shown me this beautiful hand woven, I think, seagrass basket that a new American had made. That, one of those baskets, if you're at Home Goods or Marshalls or something, it might cost you, you might pay happily pay $50
They're
to
very expensive.
they can be very expensive, and it was exquisite. It was beautiful, and it's just something that a hobby that she had from home, and in her free time, she was making these. So there's lots of instances where these new Americans from their homeland, they were skilled artisans or skilled laborers, and how do we make sure that they can continue to use those skills to help provide for their families as they're here now that they're here in America, and not just have to take menial jobs that they're being offered now, but provide them pathways to run a small business or become an artist or whatever it is, that they are desiring to do for themselves. But how do we make sure we have programs in place to help support them, whether that's some type of business incubator or a market space for them. Everything is still need to flesh out the ideas, but is another goal of mine just to really embrace our new Americans. And another concept that I've had that we've not fleshed out yet, but is to create an organization of community group advisory group made up of all the facets of our communities, whether it be the Somalis, Eritreans, Ethiopians, Black Americans, White Americans, Asians, every Mexicans, Hispanics. We make a that there'd be a place for each group at this in this committee, in this group, that could help advise us here at District 4 on what their community is seeing and needing and what is important to them. And then, if I have that organization being able to talk to me, then I can then have that in mind as I'm making decisions on the BOC. So I think that is another way that we can be certain that we are taking into account our diverse community here in District 4, and keeping that in mind as I sit up there at the BOC and make decisions on behalf of the citizens.
That's a good plan. think a lot of people may not understand that, you know, some people, when they come to this country and begin to make their transition, to your point, they're offered, you know, more menial jobs that, you know, are not quite to their level of skill. But sometimes, you know, you have to transfer licenses. Sometimes laws work differently in terms of setting up businesses and whatnot. So it's good that these programs are available to help them, you know, get acclimated, you know, and get them set up on their feet so that they can feel more in control and not having to just kind of what is the
Right.
word I'm looking for? Just kind of not participate in the world as much as they might like to.
Right. And I'm
Let them know that they have a place here.
have a place here and feel less isolated, because
Yes.
I can't imagine what it would be like coming to another country where I don't completely know the language, or I'm struggling to learn the language, learn the culture, just learn everything new. But I had to flee my homeland because of whatever was going on at home. So I can imagine that could be feel very isolating. So it's my goal to make sure we do what we can in District 4 to welcome these communities and make sure they feel welcome and know that we embrace them as one DeKalb County.
Exactly. And isolation is made even worse when you have some individuals in leadership that
Are
like to
saying
say
the
bad things.
opposite of what I just said.
Yeah, not so welcoming, to say it, to put it nicely.
Put it very nicely and as politically correct as possible.
Yes. It's
So, in a nutshell, those will be the focus areas in District 4. And I think we've been talking about how in future podcasts we will focus on the focus areas. So you'll be hearing more and more about these throughout the year.
excellent. All right. Well, that sums it up for today's edition of Shakira's Corner podcast. Shakira, tell people how they can stay in touch with you in the meantime.
Yeah, so I thank you to Miss Carrie. I am on most social media platforms as Commissioner Chakira, or we will also be putting the links here on the screen for you. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Blue Sky. You can also email me at cjjohnson2 at DeKalbCountyGA.gov. We look forward to hearing from you. And please stay tuned as we are working on in planning our big back to school event. Right now, it is scheduled for June 28th. The closer we get, we will be putting more information out there. We're trying to make it a really fun event for everybody. So please stay tuned for that.
Indeed. And on that same note, while this video will come out once the event has already passed, I hope that you all are able to make it to Community Connection. Hopefully you are already subscribed or following Shakira on her social media platforms, or perhaps signed up for our email communications. But we do plan, this will be the first of many quarterly breakfast that Commissioner Johnson will be hosting. And details for those future events will be made available across her communications platforms. Links for those platforms and how you can get in touch will be made. They should be splashing up on the screen right now. They'll also be in the description below and then splashed again at the end of this video. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much, Commissioner Johnson, for your time today and for bringing us up to speed on these issues. And we will be back at it again next month, talking about things that have happened and updates on the matters that we have discussed here today.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.